4 true horror stories from late-night gas station encounters. Story 1, The Man at Pump 7. It was late, maybe around 2 a.m. The gas station was nearly empty, the flickering overhead lights casting long shadows over the rows of pumps. The air was thick, heavy with humidity, and I could smell a mix of gasoline and something off, like rotting food, or maybe even blood. I had been on the road for hours and just needed to refuel. The store was closed, but the pumps were still operational, and I could see the dim glow of the pay machine from my car. I pulled up to Pump 7, the farthest one from the convenience store. I'm not sure why I chose that one. Something in the back of my mind told me to stay away from the others, as if I was being guided by some unseen force. As I got out of the car, I noticed him. At first, I thought he was just another traveler, a guy like me, waiting for his turn to fill up, but then I saw his eyes. They were wide, almost unnaturally so, and he wasn't looking at me directly. Instead, he was staring at the empty space in front of him, like he was watching something that wasn't there. I shook it off. I've seen plenty of weirdos in my time, especially on long drives at night. But when I started filling my tank, I felt a strange, creeping sensation like I wasn't alone, like something was watching me. I glanced over at him again. He hadn't moved. His eyes were still fixed, but this time they were trained on the gas pump. Not mine, not his, just the air around the pump, like he was waiting for something. The hairs on the back of my neck stood up. I quickly finished filling up and walked back to my car. My heart was pounding in my chest. Just as I was about to open the door, I heard a voice, a low, rasping whisper that seemed to come from behind me. "Don't leave yet, it's not safe." I spun around. He was standing right behind me, closer than I could have ever imagined. I swear just seconds ago, he was at the other pump, but now he was inches away. His face was pale, his breath ragged. His eyes were wide, almost manic. Before I could speak, he staggered back toward Pump 7, muttering under his breath. I couldn't make out the words, but there was something about his tone that made my blood run cold. Something desperate. I didn't think. I just got in my car and slammed the door shut, peeling out of the gas station faster than I ever thought I could. My hands were shaking so badly, I could barely grip the wheel. I didn't stop until I got home. And when I finally looked in my rearview mirror, I could have sworn I saw him standing at the edge of the gas station, staring after me, his mouth open in a silent scream. To this day, I haven't been able to go back to that gas station. I don't know what I encountered, but whatever it was, I don't think it was human. Story 2, The Night Shift Worker Who Vanished. It was a regular Tuesday night when I pulled into the gas station. It wasn't late yet, maybe around midnight, but I was tired. I had been working a double shift and had just enough energy to get a quick coffee and stretch my legs. The station was quiet, the lights flickering faintly. The windows to the convenience store were dimly lit, and there was a faint glow from the coffee machine inside. I was the only one at the pumps, and I remember feeling grateful for solitude. I didn't have to deal with any late-night drunks or people trying to make small talk. I got out of the car and started to fill up my tank, my eyes drifting over to the store. That's when I noticed her, the woman who worked the night shift. She was standing by the counter, her back to me. She looked strange, too still. I'd been to this gas station dozens of times, and I knew she was always friendly, always moving, even if it was just stocking shelves or organizing the counter. But tonight, she wasn't moving. I finished up with the gas and walked toward the store. As I got closer, something felt wrong. I couldn't place it, but there was an odd heaviness in the air, like the whole place had become a little too quiet. Even the hum of the neon sign above me seemed to be muffled. I stepped inside. The bell above the door didn't ring like it usually did. The woman didn't even glance at me. She just stood there, staring blankly at the wall behind the counter. "Hey," I said, my voice trembling a little. "You okay?" She didn't respond. She just kept staring. I stepped closer, my anxiety spiking. "Excuse me?" Suddenly, I felt a cold breeze. I looked around, confused. The door was shut, and the air conditioning was off. There shouldn't have been a draft. That's when I saw it. The light outside, the one above the pumps, was swinging, just a little, like it was moving on its own. I turned back to the woman. Her head was tilted slightly to the side now. She wasn't just staring anymore. She was watching me, her eyes wide, unblinking. I didn't wait any longer. I turned on my heel and ran out of there. As I drove away, I glanced back, and for just a split second, I saw her standing by the window, watching me leave. But what disturbed me most was the fact that her eyes were still locked on mine, even though the gas station was several miles behind me. The next day, I heard from a friend who worked at the station. They said the woman had disappeared during her shift. No one knew what happened to her. They just found the store locked, with the coffee pot still warm and the register open, just like she had walked away mid-shift. But that's not the part that's haunted me. The part that has stayed with me is the fact that no one could remember her face. The security footage had been wiped clean, and no one could recall her ever being there before, not even the regular customers. Story 3. The Mysterious Passenger. I used to drive long distances for my job. Weekends, holidays, middle of the night. It didn't matter. Gas stations became my regular stops to refuel, grab some snacks, and catch my breath. This particular night, I was traveling through a remote area. I'd been driving for hours, the road stretching on endlessly beneath the dim glow of my headlights. There was a storm coming, and I could feel it in the air, the electric charge before the rain hit. The gas station was my last stop before I hit the small town I was aiming for, so I wasn't looking to linger long. I pulled up to the pump, and everything was eerily quiet. No other cars, no people. Just the soft whooshing of the wind and the occasional flicker of the overhead lights. I was halfway through pumping when I heard a voice. It was a woman's voice, quiet, almost like she was calling from a distance. "Excuse me," she said, but the sound was soft, like it came from somewhere far away. I turned around, expecting to see someone standing by the store or maybe walking toward the pump, but there was no one. I shrugged it off and went back to filling up my tank, but the voice came again, closer this time. "Excuse me." I spun around again, now a bit more alert, and that's when I saw her. A woman, standing at the far side of the gas station, near the alleyway that led to the back storage area. She wasn't dressed for the storm. She had on a thin dress, no coat, and her hair was plastered to her face like it had been soaked by rain. But she didn't seem to care. "Can you help me?" she asked, her voice trembling. I should have said no. I should have gotten back in my car and left immediately, but I didn't. I walked toward her. My steps seemed too loud, too unnatural, as if the whole station was holding its breath. She took a few steps toward me, and I noticed her face more clearly. It was pale, almost sickly. Her lips were cracked and dry, and her eyes were wide, desperate. "My car broke down," she said, her voice strained. "I've been here for hours. No one's around. Please help me." I didn't know why, but I said yes. I told her I'd give her a ride to the nearest town, just down the road. She smiled faintly, almost as if she was relieved. We walked to my car, and I opened the passenger door for her. She climbed in, and I noticed a strange chill fill in the air around her, like she was carrying the storm with her. I didn't say anything. I just started the car and drove. As we drove, she didn't say much. She sat there, staring straight ahead, occasionally looking out the window. The silence between us was uncomfortable. I kept stealing glances at her, trying to figure out what was so wrong, why she made me feel so uneasy. Finally, I broke the silence. "So, where exactly did your car break down?" I asked, trying to make small talk. She didn't answer immediately. When she did, her voice sounded different, more distant, back at the gas station. I frowned, confused. "But that's where I picked you up." She turned toward me then, and her eyes were wide, unblinking. "No, you didn't. You picked me up back at the town." That's when I froze. The gas station was miles behind us now. My mind started racing. What was she talking about? I glanced at the rear-view mirror, and for a brief moment, I saw something that made my stomach drop. The gas station wasn't behind us. It was in front of us, right where we had come from. I slammed on the brakes. What the hell? I muttered under my breath. The station, just up ahead, was like a mirage, flickering in and out of focus. I looked back at her. She was gone. My heart hammered in my chest as I stared at the empty passenger seat. I reached over to check the door, but it was still locked. Suddenly, I heard a faint tapping on the window, slow and rhythmic. I turned toward the sound. There, standing just outside, was the woman, her face pressed against the glass, eyes wide, her mouth moving, but no sound coming out. I didn't wait for anything else. I threw the car into reverse and sped away, my eyes never leaving the rearview mirror. And as I passed the gas station again, I swear I saw her standing at the pump, staring after me, her eyes empty, lost in the dark. Story 4. The Endless Night. I had just moved into a new city, and like anyone who's new to town, I didn't know where everything was yet. I'd been driving around to the last hour, trying to figure out the area, when I saw the gas station. It was in the middle of nowhere, one of those places you wouldn't even notice unless you were looking for it. I needed gas, so I pulled in. The lights were bright, almost too bright for the time of night, and the place was almost completely deserted. I remember thinking it was strange. No other cars, no one at the counter, just silence. I parked at the pump closest to the store, thinking I'd grab a drink inside afterward. I could hear the hum of the fluorescent lights above and the distant sound of the wind rustling through the trees. It was peaceful, in a way, but there was also something off about it. As I filled up, I noticed something strange. The clock on the wall inside the store. It read 3:15 a.m., but when I glanced at my phone, it said 3:14 a.m. I shook it off and finished filling up. But as I turned to leave, I saw something out corner of my eye. There, in the shadows near the store, was a figure. A man. He was standing very still, watching me. He didn't move, didn't even seem to blink. Just watching. I froze. The air felt suddenly cold, like a chill had settled over everything. I couldn't see his face, but I could feel his gaze. It felt heavy, oppressive. I started to walk back toward my car, but I couldn't take my eyes off of him. As I got closer to the door, I glanced at the clock again. It still read 3:15 a.m. I opened the door, and just as I was about to step inside, I heard a whisper. It was so quiet, I almost missed it. "Don't go. You'll be stuck here forever." I slammed the door shut, locked it, and left in a hurry. I didn't look back, but I swear I saw him standing there, unmoving, even as I pulled away. I haven't gone back to that gas station. And the worst part? Every time I drive past, I see that same clock stuck at 3:15 a.m., and the figure is still there, watching.